Hey, Kelly, welcome. Alan's joining us. Tammy's in. Good to have you guys. We're going to build some audience and get things going here. Excited about this weather school. So much to share with the kids, and this is an important one. Yesterday, we talked about lightning and how it develops. Today, we're going to talk about lightning safety. So we'll get things going in just a minute as we welcome everybody to our Facebook Live. It's going to be a lot of fun today, and it can be a little scary dealing with lightning. We'll get into it in just a moment. Stay tuned. All right, we see Hannah and Corey, Ellen, a lot of folks joining in. Amy Jacobs, good to have Matthew with us this morning. Thanks for getting him ready. Jerry and Mac from Newport News in the house. Good to have you guys as well. Tammy checking things out. Peyton, I know you'll be keeping an eye on questions coming in, answering some of those. Let's go ahead and reveal, and we'll get things started here. Big shout out to our directors and all the crew behind the scene. You know, we've got a skeleton crew throughout the station here, again, being responsible with social distancing. We have very few people actually at our studios in Norfolk, Virginia. That's where we do this weather school, and it's out there on Facebook Live. So anywhere around the country, around the world, if folks are finding us on Facebook, they get to be a part of it, and we are teaching kids, and I'll say adults, maybe kids at heart, about the weather and weather safety. So a big shout out to everybody. And again, it's so important, if you can, if you share this Facebook on your own devices, let folks, your friends, and maybe other students know about it. We love to get more and more people in on these Facebook Lives and continue to spread the information. Remember, all of these also post on our YouTube channel, so you can check out previous ones. We do them every morning at 9:15. So this morning, as we talk about lightning this week, we talked about how lightning forms, what's actually going on. We talked about the lightning capital of the world. For those of you that were here yesterday, who remembers the lightning capital of the world? Do you remember what country it was? Kind of interesting. We were saying they had lightning at times, and on average 140 to 160 times a year they have these incredible lightning storms that go on for hours and hours and hours. The country was Venezuela. All right, and the U.S. capital for lightning, do you remember what state? Florida. All right, so those are the lightning capital of the world, Venezuela. Very good, Don. He was the first one in. And again, Florida, Peyton remembered that one as well. All right, so let's talk about lightning safety. And again, lightning is amazing. It's beautiful. It's spectacular. The roar of the thunder, amazing to hear it as well. Sometimes it can be a little scary, but if you know what to do when storms are approaching, there's no need to put yourself in harm's way. There's some really basic things that we're going to talk about with lightning safety, what to do in some different situations. We'll break all of that down. But before we get into this, okay, one of the things we talk about a lot of times with our school visits is, you know, do cars offer some protection? And the answer is yeah, okay, they do offer some protection. But my question to you, before we even get into all of our safety talk, I want to know what you guys are thinking right now. Why can they offer protection from lightning? Is it because, A, when they're moving, it's hard to hit a moving target? If the car's going fast, lightning has a harder time hitting a moving target. Is it because the tires insulate? Think about that. You know, people say, okay, the tire's ground. Or is it because these things are metal and metal protects? What do you think? One of those three. Let's get some answers up there. Seeing some tires insulating, just saw a moving target, getting some metal protects. It's kind of interesting. It's split. A lot of people have different thoughts on this. And now I'm seeing, okay, I'm starting to get more of the tires. Everybody's starting to pick up on the tires there. Some more metal coming across. Love the responses and the reactions. It's good to know you guys are out there and checking this out. So what would be really interesting is if I had you all vote and then tell me your ages. Because the old thinking, what we were raised believing, was that it's because tires insulate. But the reason cars protect, it's not about the tires. Okay, those tires aren't going to offer much insulation as far as lightning goes. No, it's the metal that protects with a car, and I will explain how. So if you replied with a heart on that question, you're right, okay? Lightning's way fast enough to hit any moving car. As a matter of fact, there's tons of video of cars driving along getting hit by lightning. And the tires, they don't do it. It's not that. It's the fact that the cars have metal roofs that protect and have metal bodies. And I'll explain all of that as we go along. Now, before we get into the lightning safety, I want to set things up and just review one thing we talked about before, and this was yesterday. We were talking about how to tell how far away a thunderstorm is by the distance, or the timing rather, between the flash of lightning and the clap of thunder. Okay, remember, we said yesterday, lightning always makes thunder. Lightning cooks the air basically around that channel of electricity. There's that spark, and it gets so hot that the air molecules around that lightning bolt, they explode and contract. Okay, they expand and contract, sending out what we hear as thunder. So lightning flashes quickly, all right, and you see light at the speed of light, all right. It takes longer for the sound. The speed of sound is slower than the lightning, the speed of light. So you see the flash, you start counting, and as a general rule of thumb, all right, for every 5 seconds you count, that lightning strike is about a mile away. All right, so remember that, okay, when we consider what we're going to talk about here. And we're going to start again with what we call the 30-30 rule and lightning safety. All right, and this is a rule that is used a lot by NCAA events, talking about outdoor sporting events where they have big things going on. First thing I would tell you is, you know, if you see lightning or if you hear thunder, don't take chances, just go inside. But this is the 30-30 rule, all right? And the 30-30 rule goes like this, all right? If it takes less than 30 seconds, all right, to hear thunder after seeing that flash of light, less than 30, if you start counting as soon as you see the flash and you don't make it all the way up to 30 seconds, lightning is near enough to pose a threat, all right? So you think about it, 30 seconds divided by 5 equals how many miles away? 6, right? So if you don't get to 30 seconds when you start counting after the flash, that means that bolt of lightning struck within 6 miles of where you are, and you are clearly in an area that is very vulnerable, all right? So it poses a threat, okay? And then after the last flash of lightning, or you hear the last rumble of thunder, you have to wait 30 minutes before resuming those outdoor activities. So that's the 30-30 rule, okay? 30 seconds between the flash and the bang, and wait 30 minutes after the last lightning strike. Now, I mentioned this is just a rule that some big organizations use for outdoor activities. I will tell you that lightning can go out farther than 6 miles from a storm. It happens, okay? But most frequently, when you get within that 30 seconds between the flash and the bang, you're really in an area that is vulnerable. Do you know lightning, you know, it's not uncommon to see lightning go out 5 to 10 miles out. Okay, it can go even farther than that in some very rare occasions. But the bottom line is, don't wait for rain and think, oh, okay, it's not going to get me because it's not raining here. Lightning comes out long before rain a lot of times. So we just want you to be super aware, all right? So the general rule, all right, when lightning roars, go in, or when thunder roars, go indoors. If you hear thunder or see lightning, we want to get you inside. All right, trivia question to kind of get you going here. All right, we talked a little bit about the cars, and I'll show you more on that in a moment. But about how many people are struck by lightning in the U.S. each year? Ever think about this? How many people do you think? Is it A, 450, B, 300? C, about 150, or D, 50 people struck in the United States each year, okay? On average, what do you think? Let's see what kind of answers we're getting, all right? Let's see. Oh, we got some happy birthdays going out. How about that? All right, well, let's see. All right, we got some guesses now coming in. C and D and A. Boy, we're all over the place here. A bunch of folks going with about 150. Going C, D, 50. You're thinking that? C, a lot of C's. Somebody thinks an A. Who's that? Bonnie. Bonnie's going big with 450. You guys want to know the answer? Take a look. On average, okay, about 300 people are struck across the United States each year. Pretty bad, right? 300 people struck. Now, what I think is interesting, all right, a lot of these folks are struck. We're going to talk about what percentage of those people are actually killed in just a moment. Taking a look at the lightning fatalities, this is a way most people, and again, you see this, these are the statistics from the United States between 06 and 2018, all right? Activities with the most deaths in those years between 06 and 2018, all right? Fishing, people were out fishing, 38 fatalities. They were at the beach, 23 fatalities. Camping, another 19. Farming and ranching, just being out working the farm, 19 fatalities. Boating, 17. And I'm a little surprised that's not a bit higher. I would think maybe more people would have died during that period from boating. Out there with a motorcycle or ATV, maybe some four-wheelers, about 16. Just general social gatherings, parties out there on the patio, walking to or from home. You can see all these different ways people get into trouble. Soccer. Believe it or not, about 12 people. And then yard work, roofing, golf. There's other outdoor activities, but all of these are some of the activities that have seen the most deaths between 2006 and 2018. And check this out. As far as gender goes, 80% of those victims have been male, 20% female. Now, that's not because men are lightning rods and women aren't. No, lightning will strike either gender equally. I think this is largely due to the fact that a lot of these outdoor activities, maybe there are more men involved with some of this stuff, or maybe it's that women have the good sense that, hey, if there's lightning and thunder, I'm going inside. And some of these guys are saying, no, we'll be fine. We're just going to keep going. And then they get into trouble. So interesting statistics here. And again, that comes from NOAA. That's our source of information on that. All right, so let's talk about, according to the National Weather Service, about what percentage of victims die after being struck. Okay, we just said about 300 a year are struck. So of those 300, what do you think the percentages are of people that actually die from the lightning strike? Do you think it's 80%? Do you think it's 60% of people that get struck, 30%, or 10%? Give you guys a second to answer that while I take a quick sip of coffee here. Let's see what you think. All right. Dana says, yes, girls are great at thinking. Yes, I know many women that are brilliant thinkers, including our own Peyton Domschke, who is on right now. Peyton would have the good sense to get inside as soon as she sees lightning or hears thunder. All right. So now we're getting some more guests on here, okay? A lot of C's. Got a D from Don Sipple. All right. We've got an A from Renee, thinking 80%. You think lightning strikes, it's going to do a lot of damage, and there is a lot of that goes on. Now, some people, now Dana's guessing C or D. I mean, come on. You don't want to just take a guess and stick it out there. All right, seeing a lot of C's. Boy, Pam emphatically going with C's in a whole bunch. All right, let's take a look at the answer. The answer is actually D, 10%. And I was a little surprised when I first saw that statistic because I would think it would be a little bit higher than that, but a lot of people do survive. Now, the problem is after they're struck, a lot of these people have long-term disabilities. Sometimes they can suffer depression after being hit. Sometimes there's neurological issues, there's physical issues. There can be all different types of things that can happen when you're struck. So you need to take lightning very, very seriously. But of those roughly 300 per year that are struck, 10% on average die. And again, that comes from NOAA and the National Weather Service. So what do you do? Okay, first rule we said, when thunder roars, go indoors. It's that simple, all right? What I say to the kids, and you can do this, and maybe a few of you that are watching right now have seen some of my presentations before, actually in person when I go out to the schools. But one of the things I say with the kids is, if you see it, flee it, okay? If you see lightning, if I'm outside and I see lightning, if I see it, I'm fleeing it. I'm going to go inside. This is where we say, duh, okay? Most important thing you can do. If you see it, flee it. If you hear thunder, if you hear it, clear it. See it, flee it, hear it, clear it. That's it. That's simple. Get inside. There's really no safe place to be outside. But there are some things that you can do that will maybe improve your chances just a little bit, but really, most important thing, get inside a safe, sturdy building. So let's take a look at this here, and we'll pick a few items around the house. First of all, again, inside, the safest by far, this is where we want you to be. But we want you to stay away from windows, okay? Sometimes lightning can enter through a window. Sometimes lightning can hit a window. The glass can break. Sometimes lightning can strike a tree or something outside. You can have limbs crash into the windows. You're safer during an electrical storm away from the windows inside. You can also power off, if you're working maybe on your computer and it's plugged in, you want to get away from things that are plugged in. Now, I'll say if you have a TV on and you want to leave the TV, plugged in, maybe on a surge protector or something, so you can hear us talk to you, give you updated information, that's fine. But I don't want you touching things that are plugged in electrically, because if lightning strikes the house and it comes in through the power lines or something, you can get shocked. I knew a DJ many, many years ago, about 30 years ago, that lightning struck the broadcast tower just outside the radio station, came in and zapped him through his microphone, gave him a scar on his chin. So you want to stay away from things that are plugged in during the electrical storm, all right? Obviously, you want to stay away from trees and lone, tall objects. Again, a tree gets struck, you could have the limbs falling, you could get lightning flashing off the tree. There's a whole bunch of bad things that can happen. So stay away from lone, tall objects like trees or maybe a flagpole, things like that. You do not want to take shelter under a lone, tall object like that. All right, so that's one of the things. Again, inside, stay away from the windows. You want to put down those electronic things. You don't want to be tethered to anything. All right, and again, stay away from those tall objects. How about the swimming pool? You take a look back there, backyard. Now, if you've ever been to a public pool, or if you've ever been, some of the local facilities like the YMCA, if there's thunderstorms, they'll clear even the indoor pools. And that's smart, because if lightning strikes that water and you're in the water, it's not good. Everything inside that pool can be electrocuted. All right, so you want to get out of the pool immediately, and again, head inside. But certainly, you are not safe in a pool or in a small body of water. You just don't want to be there. You want to get out of the water and get away from that. Okay, you also want to stay away from wet objects, like maybe a rope or something like that that's wet. Stay away from it. Okay, lightning can run through that stuff. Now you've got your car and you've got other metal objects here, and this is something else I want to talk about, because so many of us, all right, if you're involved in youth sports, maybe I know for Hampton Roads and all around the country, there's so many baseball players, there's so many softball players. We talked about soccer players, different groups. Maybe there's some fencing around the fields or around the dugouts. And I think about the backstops for baseball. Always made me nervous as a coach whenever we would see thunderstorms. First of all, if I knew there were thunderstorms in the forecast, I was constantly watching the radar. And if they got close, we would get the kids off the field and get them to the cars. But when teams try to, just sit in the dugout and ride it out, guess what? If you've got metal all around those dugouts, lightning strikes the fences or the light stands or whatever around those fields, very, very dangerous. Those charges can carry down and run along the fences. So you want to stay away from all of that. The best thing to do is to get into a car. Cars do provide some protection from lightning. Now, we said we'd talk about this, and I said metal is the main reason that cars provide some safety. All right, for folks way back in the day, we were always told, the tires are grounded. That's going to protect you. No, that's not what does it. What happens, and there is so much video evidence of this, we've seen it over and over and over and over again, lightning strikes a metal roof or a metal surface, okay, and the car, if the metal, okay, if it has a metal roof, convertibles don't do it, and fiberglass cars also do not offer protection. So it's got to be a metal roof, all right, and you've got the windows rolled up. That car kind of acts like what we call a Faraday cage, okay? And what happens is the charge hits the roof and it spreads around the outside of the car. Everybody inside the car will be fine. You want to keep the windows rolled up. You don't want to touch the sides. If you can, if you're going to ride it out on the side of the road or whatever, or in a parking lot, you sit there with your hands on your lap and you don't touch the windows. You don't touch the metal on the side of the car. Keep it rolled up, okay? Lightning strikes, the charge, it goes around the outside of the car and then into the ground. you can survive this. All right, we actually have video when we go out and do the school visits where we show a police cruiser. It's actually a sheriff's cruiser, and he gets struck. The car gets struck by lightning, and the camera inside the cruiser shows the car shakes and everything, but the radio inside, even the electronics in the car, are fine. Everything keeps working. Nobody gets hurt because that charge spreads around the outside of the car and down. Really, really scary, no doubt about it, but you're okay inside a car. So that's an important thing. Now, if you are caught outside, all right, we used to teach the emergency lightning position, and that would be where you'd put your heels together and you'd squat down into a ball and you'd cover up your ears. You'd make C's and cups over your ears. Well, the National Weather Service got away from that recommendation, and we're no longer recommending that because it really doesn't offer that much more protection. Back in 08, 09, they started saying, you know what, we're not even going to focus on that because you don't get much benefit from squatting down. Even though you make yourself a smaller target, doesn't make that big of a difference, all right? I will say by cupping your hands over your ears if you're caught outside, that's going to protect your hearing, maybe a little bit from the sound of thunder, but you are in harm's way by being vulnerable to lightning out there. All right, very, very important you go inside. Okay, there are a few things you can do to make yourself less attractive to lightning and maybe improve your chances a little bit, but you are still in danger if you are caught outside, all right? What are some of those things? Well, again, we said stay away from tall objects like flagpoles and lone trees. You don't want to do that. You want to get out of the water. You know that, okay? You don't want to be the tallest object around, okay? So that also is something you want to avoid. If you're in a group, you want to spread apart. And we talk now about social distancing being 6 feet apart. You want to spread apart even more than that. All right, there's video of an entire soccer team, several members of the team all being struck and hurt because they were too close together. So spread apart, all right? You don't want to be near anything tall. If you can get inside, number one thing to do. And the most important thing you can do now is plan for it and avoid those dangerous situations altogether. That's what the key is. Try to avoid it. Now, I will tell you, okay, this sounds pretty simple, but there are a lot of people that think they can get through this. Oh, I'll be fine, whatever. This is a real threat, and it's really, really dangerous, okay? People get hurt. Too many people get hurt every year from lightning strikes, and we can minimize that by just getting inside during those storms. I'm going to tell you guys tomorrow when we come back with our next topic, we're going to talk about a very, very close call I had. Essentially, I thought I was struck by lightning. I will share with you the story on this. It's really incredible. I'll show you where and when all this happened and how it really changed my whole opinion of weather. We'll get into that tomorrow. It's a really cool story. You saw my social contact right there. Here's Peyton. She helps out a lot with some of the graphics. Big shout out to Peyton, and thank you, Peyton, for being in our group. Now, tomorrow we're going to talk about, again, 5 different ways that you can be struck by lightning. It's really interesting, okay? You think about cloud to ground, the strike that way, but there are other ways that we can get injured. And again, I'll share my story and how I was very, very nearly struck by one of those 5 ways, and I'll show you exactly what happened. It'll get your attention, all right? Thank you guys so much for joining us. Again, I hope you guys enjoy these. We're dropping a little bit of weather knowledge. We're focusing on lightning this week. After tomorrow and the 5 ways that you could get struck, we're going to talk about different types of lightning. And then Friday, we're doing kind of a little weather school, call it a midterm exam / trivia contest. We're going to take different facts and different things we've discussed in our first 3 weeks of doing our weather school, and we'll see what you guys know. Maybe we'll get some of our other meteorologists on staff to participate as well. Should be fun, and we look forward to having you guys. Thank you so much. Stay safe. Thank you for liking these videos, for all the positive feedback. Again, share it with other folks. Let them know that these are out here, and we'll continue to keep doing them as long as you guys want to keep learning about the weather. All right? Have a great one. Thank you guys so much, and stay safe.